Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays and 4Ks, and that's the majority of what I'll be talking about today. Just a brief, haul update for those that participated in the Criterion Flash sale ahead of the potential Barnes & Noble. I never like to say it's for sure because I always kind of keep hearing rumors like, oh, it's done, it's never happening again, and you never know if that's coming. So I definitely took advantage of this flash sale. Like I have seen online, was able to stack some coupons or some coupon codes that I'd gotten in the past and get one of these discs basically for free. But there's some fun stuff to talk about. Not the fun movies aren't always that fun, but it's neat that these are available on 4K especially. And I'll start with the newest release, which is Gumo, Harmony Korine's film. And I know this is an exciting release. However, I know there was some unrest online about the fact that Criterion, announces this movie. People pre-order it from them. They pre-order it from retailers online. And then they release it at 50% off the day it comes out. And that necessarily wasn't cool. I mean, it's cool for me. I hadn't pre-ordered it, so I'm like, boom, done. There's mine for 50% off. But if you had pre-ordered it, I don't know that it came through at that price, and I know the retailers online were definitely not happy to be undercut and get complaints from customers about it, which, all that's out of their control. It's just an odd choice for Criterion to do, but they do this flash sale typically a little bit before November to, I would guess, soak up a little bit of pre-sale energy, pre-Barnes & Noble sale energy and get it directly for them. So anyway, Gumo, a really unique, interesting, weird movie that definitely established, Harmony Korine had worked on the script for kids, so that established him a little bit, but this really is a movie that announces a filmmaker that is not like any filmmaker I had seen at the time. Harmony Korine's debut feature is an audacious lyrical evocation of America's rural underbelly, an elegy in the Southern Gothic tradition of William Faulkner and William Eggleston. Shot in Korine's native Nashville, standing in for the tornado-ravaged Xenia, Ohio. The rough-hewn film follows two young friends, Tumblr and Solomon, as they ride around town, huffing glue and hunting stray cats. Their every local encounter charged with a vaudevillian anarchy as well as deep pathos, at once transgressive and empathetic, disturbing and undeniably beautiful. Gumo is one-of-a-kind portrait of angelic and devilish souls caught in a cultural void circumscribed by poetry and depleted, alienated spiritual life of the late 20th century America. Now, this movie had not gotten a Blu-ray release, so it's always exciting to get that leapfrog effect where we get a Blu-ray and a 4K. And again, I just got these in the mail today, so I haven't had a chance to open them or check them out, but I'm definitely very curious to dig into this one. New 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by Harmony Korine. One 4K disc presented in Dolby Vision HDR and one Blu-ray. New interview with Korine, conversation from 1997 between Korine and filmmaker Werner Herzog. Very curious to see that. Split screen projections episode from 2000 featuring Korine and in conversation with host John Pearson, as well as a trailer essay on the film in the booklet by Carlos Aguilar, and appreciation by filmmaker Hype Williams, who made Belly. So yeah, very curious about this one. Glad to get it when it came out at 50% off. Didn't have to pre-order it. In line with that, we have Happiness, which had been out on 4K, but another one that didn't have a Blu-ray, and then boom, we have both 4K and Blu-ray. I just assumed this wasn't going to happen because it had been so long without any kind of... there was a DVD from Lionsgate in like 99 or 2000, and so we're talking 20 years of this movie being almost out of circulation because it didn't stream really. Maybe it had been on and off YouTube over the years, but hasn't been on there recently. I know that the New Beverly showed it late last year at some point, and when we did our calendar episode, I went to find it, and it was not easy to find then. So this is an exciting release. a film that I have different feelings about now than when I saw it in, when did it come out? It came out in 1998. This was after, the 90s was such a great time for independent cinema, and it was so exciting to be a cinephile at that time. You know, I was fully in it. I was studying film in college. I was 2 years out of college at that point, but I had been fully immersed in, you know, the cinema of the 1990s, independent cinema. Pulp Fiction had become a touchstone, and then I was always kind of hunting for the next Pulp Fiction, and not that ever really happened, but the next really exciting voice, interesting filmmaker, and Todd Solondz definitely seemed like he was going to be that guy, and not to say that he hasn't been that guy, but Happiness was one of those movies where you went to it, and it was dark and funny and definitely envelope pushing in terms of a lot of what's happening. There's some pretty heavy stuff in the movie, including a sequence with a shooting in the park, which definitely plays a lot different now than it did in 1998, but still scary. But yeah, Dylan Baker in a really pretty amazing performance, but very dark stuff. Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's his sort of magnum opus, and I don't think he's topped it really. Between Welcome to Dollhouse and Happiness, I don't think Solondz has quite achieved what he achieved with these films since. But that said, it's really nice to get this on disc, because I really wonder if a lot of younger cinephiles even had a full awareness of the movie. I mean, I guess they could have found it, some digital file somewhere if you wanted, but I feel like when a movie goes out of streaming and physical, it starts to drop away from the conversation, especially with young new cinephiles, you know. So I'm very curious what young folks will think about this movie. But let's see. One 4K, one Blu-ray, presented Dolby Vision HDR. New conversation between Todd Solondz and filmmaker Charlotte Wells. New interview with Dylan Baker. Plus an essay by screenwriter and novelist Bruce Wagner. So not a ton of features, but still nice to have a 4K and a Blu-ray of this finally. Same thing with Gumo, as I said. Now, I haven't talked about it on the channel yet, but I already picked up Real Life. I'll talk about that in a different video, but I grabbed Mother, the other Albert Brooks 4K that I didn't have. Now, this one I haven't been back to since, I don't know, when did it come out? 1996. I probably saw it in the 2000s because it would have come out on DVD from Paramount then. I imagine I saw it in the theater too, but I can't remember that specifically. Reeling after his second divorce and struggling with writer's block, sci-fi novelist John Henderson, Albert Brooks, resolves to figure out where his life went wrong and hits on an unorthodox solution, moving back in with his relentlessly disapproving, cheerfully passive-aggressive mother, Debbie Reynolds, whose favorite son has always been John's younger brother, Jeff, Rob Morrow. It's an experiment that, however harebrained, delivers surprising results. Brooks's film perfectly blends the writer-director star's biting wit with insight and inviting warmth, while giving him a formidable foil in the delightful Reynolds, triumphant in a comeback role that's equal parts caustic and charming. So new 4K restoration supervised by Brooks. 4K with HDR. New interview with Brooks. New interview with Rob Morrow. Plus an essay by Carrie Rickey. I do find it interesting that what I'm seeing here is like no commentaries, 2 new interviews and an essay, and that's what we're getting. And that's fine. You know, I'm not saying that Criterion's a shadow of their former selves, but it definitely seems like they have slim things down. And I understand that there have been shakeups there, you know, layoffs, and I get economically that, you know, it maybe was time for a new paradigm for them in terms of like, oh, this is what we're going to do for most of the discs. Commentaries have been going away for a long time, and that's too bad because I always associate commentaries with Criterion. The first commentaries I ever heard were Laserdisc commentaries from Criterion. Taxi Driver and was it Raging Bull? One of those two were some of my first commentaries, and So it's sad to me that they're not investing in that anymore. That's clearly gone away for them. But these interviews are always interesting. Now here's one that I know a lot of people have seen, and for whatever reason, I still haven't. This was just announced for 4K, literally the day after I bought it, and that's Kiyoshi Kurosawa's The Cure, or Cure. I'm sorry, not The. And I've only heard amazing things about this. Just one I just never got around to for whatever reason. And this is the one I ended up getting for basically free with my stack coupons or whatever. And, you know, it has a new conversation between Kiyoshi Kurosawa and filmmaker Ryusuke Hamagachi, interviews with actors Masato Hajiwara and Koji Yakusho, interview from 2003 with Kurosawa, plus an essay by Chris Fujiwara. Now, I don't know if the Eureka disc will have all that, but obviously it's going to be 4K, and part of me always wants to see things in the highest quality possible. With that said, you know, whatever. I'm going to watch this, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I've heard it's intense and powerful. But that is the last of the 4 that I picked up. Now, this one, for those that don't know, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's arresting international breakthrough established him as one of the leaders of emerging new wave of Japanese horror while pushing the genre into uncharted realms of philosophical and existential exploration. A string of shocking, seemingly unmotivated murders, each committed by a different person, yet all bearing the same grisly hallmarks, leads Detective Takabe into a labyrinthine investigation to discover what connects them, and into a disturbing game of cat and mouse with an enigmatic amnesiac who may be the evil incarnate. Awash in hushed hypnotic dread, Cure is a tour de force of psychological tension and hallucinatory journey into the darkest recesses of the human mind. I don't know. I'm definitely into it. I'm definitely excited to check it out. I'm sure y'all picked up some stuff. Let me know below what you grabbed from this sale. But I was very happy to get just these 4. You know, this was just the right amount of stuff for me. And just some movies that I've been wanting to get since they were released. I mean, Gumo I had on my list, but Happiness, since it came out, I'm like, oh, I got to get that. So glad to pick these up from the sale. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.